What is up everyone, welcome back to Lex Selectors. Today it is my championship review for match day 32. We've got a lot of controversy to go over, a lot of stunning goals. We've also got some midweek predictions that we're going to predict in the second half of this video. Stay tuned guys for Thursday when I'll be updating the Let's Selectors Football Prediction League, because a lot of us actually had some good performances and some, found it a little bit tricky. It was a very unpredictable game week to predict. So thank you for everyone who's taken part in the prediction league, and I want to say thank you guys as well for making me reach 950 subscribers. It's absolutely amazing. If you can hit the like button and hit the subscribe button for this video today, it would be absolutely appreciative. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers as soon as we can, so if you guys can hit the like button and hit the red subscribe button if you've not done so, it would really help the channel. And please share the channel as well to as many people as you can. All of that helps the future of this channel. But without any further ado, let's start reviewing what happened in this weekend's games. So we start off with a bit of a stinker in the Yorkshire derby between Huddersfield and Sheffield United. It ends as a 0-0 draw. What I felt happened in this game is that Sheffield United tried to be a bit robust, tried to be very defensive, but if anything, that actually helped Huddersfield. It actually allowed them to play, and Huddersfield have been a team that if you allow them to play expansively, they do play much better. And the big controversial talking point is the disallowed goal from John Russell, where he headed like a perfectly fine goal, but the referee penalised a foul on Wes Fotheringham, but it was caused by Sam Baldock fouling Danny Ward, which resulted in Fotheringham being tripped over. So there's two things that he didn't manage to see there, and he's just made one conclusion which just was entirely wrong. So Huddersfield were definitely very unlucky to be in the wrong end of that. Although they were a little bit fortunate in the way that Sheffield United didn't get anything out of this, because Nee Nichols made an outstanding save from John Fleck near the end of the game. But really apart from that, it was once again just one of these games that was just very evenly matched, but there wasn't really one team having an edge. Both teams were, I felt, quite complacent in the way they played. So not the worst result in the world for both these teams, but I think Sheffield United will be more relieved for the fact they've got games in hand. And if Huddersfield were to win, then it would have strengthened Huddersfield's chances of getting into the top 6, and it definitely would have been a blow to Sheffield United's chances. And now to Barnsley's first win in 13 games as they beat QPR by 1-0. Now QPR have done this a couple of times this season, losing to teams right down, in the relegation mix. They've lost to Peterborough twice this season, domestically, but also, in a competition in the championship as well. But also now they've lost to Barnsley. And what I will say with Barnsley, what really showed me was just this attitude, this never say die attitude, which I was really missing from this Barnsley side. And Barnsley, in their last 5 games, they've lost by 1-goal margins. So they've been this close to getting at least a draw out of it. And even if they got a draw, it would have increased their chances of survival. But they've always just been missing out and always getting nothing out of it. But this time they were determined. And QPR were very uncharacteristically very lackluster. I don't think they had Chris Willock in the squad. I think they've got an injury with him, and they're going to have to really cope without him now, especially if he's out for a sustained period of time. It was Keena with the goal, a very nice strike actually, and what I really liked actually was just the movement that the forward players managed to have, and Keena in particular did very well in that role. I also liked Gomez, the way that both of them worked well together. I liked Bassi as well, their new signing. He looks pretty good too. So could their signing save Barnsley? We're going to have to wait and see. But this is definitely encouraging, because now they are only 5 points off safety. So the fact of the matter is, the fact that Reading have not won for quite a sustained amount of period of time, it allows teams like Barnsley, Derby and even Peterborough have a chance to really get back into things. But with QPR, bit of a missed opportunity there. They do have a chance to redeem themselves in midweek when they play against Millwall, but if they don't win that game, then they lose all the advantages that they had, especially if they want to try and get automatically promoted. Next game, we see Birmingham beat Luton by 3-0. This is the first double that Birmingham have completed this season. 8-0 on aggregate against this Luton Town side as well. So Birmingham definitely love playing against this Luton side. The big talking point in this game, you would say, was when the play got stopped by tennis balls being thrown onto the pitch. There's a lot of protests from fans and the board right now, and you would have felt, maybe this could have hindered a couple of the teams, but if anything, it actually spurred Birmingham on to really give something for the fans. And what I'm impressed with, all 3 goals, 3 different goal scorers, 3 different January transfer signings. So that tells me that their recruitment has actually been quite good, and they've actually bought into Libo's system very quickly too. Junior Bakuna scored a great goal for the first goal. Lyle Taylor got the second goal. Him being reunited with Libo has been fantastic. It's good that they've managed to draw away the tensions that they had, right where he left on his contract with Charlton. And Ono Hernandez also scored a great goal as well. But the defending from Luton was very, very slack and poor. For the third goal, the amount of space Hernandez had was very, very poor. So Luton is just going through one of these other periods where they just don't turn up for a game or maybe even 2 this season. Because typically Luton, they go through a very inconsistent run. And that's why they're not up there. They've got the team capable for being up there in the Championship, but they've just are too inconsistent at times. With Birmingham, I know their form doesn't reflect it, but I think their performances have improved a little bit. If they could go on a good run now, they could definitely have a really good end to the season. And this is the exact game I would say football, is always a 95-minute sport, because you just don't know what sort of comeback is going to take place. I mean, Bournemouth actually got 2 goals in, I think, within a period of 10 minutes. They were 1-0 down right up to the 86th minute, which is unbelievable. And I think Blackpool would be feeling a little bit let down. They didn't get anything more from it, because I think the first half especially, I thought Blackpool did quite well. There was a bit of a controversy at the start where there was a dubious penalty decision being given to Bournemouth. Solanke missed that penalty, and then almost straight after that, Josh Boulder scored a stunning goal past Travers to make it 1-0. There was brilliant performances I saw from Hamilton. Yates was frustratingly, in good positions, but not quite finishing his chances, but he still had a great performance. But Bowler was running the show easily, and Travers made some brilliant saves, and it kept the team into it. In the second half, we saw a team at one stage containing the likes of Marcondes, Cantwell, Solanke, Dembele, Lowe, all on the pitch at the same time. And to have that quality, especially in the Championship, is very spoiled for choice. Lowe scored the equalising goal, just ultimately 2 static defending from Blackpool. And the second goal was very well worked. And you've got to give some credit for Marcondes there with the intelligent play to find Siriki Dembele in that space, and he scored to make it 2-1. His first goal in the club, and it turns out to be a winning goal as well. So Bournemouth fans will be singing Siriki Dembele's name for days, and it's a good win for Bournemouth because now they reunite their chances of getting into second place, and they can definitely secure that if they maintain this positive momentum. With Blackpool, I don't think their performances were too bad. I think they can bounce back from this. Now we see Fulham win by 1-0 against Hull. And Mitrovic scoring yet again. He's already on 31 goals. He has equalled the all-time Championship goal scoring record in a single season. We've got over 16 games left to play in this season, and he's already matched Ivan Toney's record of last year. If he scores constantly, he could get 50 goals. And, it doesn't even sound like a shock anymore. And it was a simple goal. And yeah, Neco Williams, one of their signings, in fact their only signing, with a brilliant cross and a great header by Mitrovic to make it 1-0. I wouldn't say it was entirely comfortable. I think Hull did have a couple of moments, but what I will say, I don't think they played that positively, Hull, and I think it was their downfall. And whilst Fulham weren't perfect, I think defensively they were a little bit suspect. They still managed to keep the clean sheet and get the result, and that is all that matters. So good win for Fulham. Hull definitely need to try and work on a couple of things. Then undoubtedly one of the most eye-catching results this weekend is Middlesbrough 4, Derby 1. If we're talking about an individual team performance who did the best, it's Middlesbrough. What they really impressed me with was their style of play, their fight, their pressing, the cohesion, and just the fact that everyone had a good amount of intelligence about how each player played. Anyone that went on, despite what substitute, despite what players got on and off the pitch, they still maintained this intensity and they carried that momentum throughout the whole game, which was impressive. Now, Buchanan got the first goal for Middlesbrough with a known goal, obviously a bit unfortunate there. Max Bird with an equalising goal. It was actually a really nice struck goal. I think the players in a way managed to obstruct the goalkeeper's view to make it 1-1. The second goal by Connolly was also quite scrappy. It was a bit of a deflection to make it 2-1 to Middlesbrough. But I was very impressed with the last 2 goals worked by Middlesbrough. Now, the fourth goal I'm definitely going to talk about, because Balogun, when he came onto the pitch, I'm a bit devastated for him. He's not scored a goal yet, because actually his pressing was really, really good. And actually his press was the reason why Middlesbrough won the ball back in a very dangerous position from Derby's perspective. Passed it to Watmore. His shot was a bit scuffed, but he still went into net to make it 4-1. Incredible performance. If they keep this up, easily I can see Middlesbrough in the top 6. They've got a top 6 worthy manager in the Championship, and now their squad's just proving it. Now it's just to make sure that they keep that expectation and they don't allow teams below them to catch up. It's going to be a very interesting end to the season. With Derby, it's not impossible for them to still survive, but it's still a bit of a blow that they've lost in that way. They've got to hope now that they can definitely pick themselves up. They had a big breakthrough in terms of sorting out the legal claims from Middlesbrough. I think they're going to talk to Wickham this week to try and sort out those claims at the moment. So off the field, if they could just sort that out, and then on the pitch, if they just pick up a good couple of wins and maintain their good home form, I think Derby should, fingers crossed, be okay. Now to the Den, where we see Millwall pick up a 2-1 win over Cardiff. I really should have expected that, because Millwall at home, to be fair, they've been very, very reliable at picking up some great results. I was just a little bit unsure whether they were going to hold a Cardiff side that were doing very, very well with their form leading up to this game, but should have definitely backed them a little bit. I think the first half was a little bit poor. Both sides didn't really force too many chances. I think Cardiff was slightly the more likely team to score in the first half. In the second half, Millwall started to kick in their stride a little bit. It was around this time as well where they started getting more control when they beat West Brom. So definitely Millwall played better, I think, in the second half. So I think first half Millwall need to improve on that. But second half, I think they were great. Wari Rollis with the first goal came from a corner. It was actually a clever delivery from that corner. Wallace with the header to make it 1-0. And then Mason Bennett with the second goal coming off the bench to make it 2-0. And by that time, it was just going to be impossible for Cardiff to get back into this. Despite Joe Bacon getting a consolation goal, it was a tap-in he could have missed from there. It just wasn't enough. And what I will say, I think whilst Cardiff did create a bit, I just think they were quite wasteful with their chances. And Millwall, what they did well, they were clinical when they needed to be. They had 3 shots on target and 2 of their shots were goals. And that is really going to encourage Millwall going forward. So good win for Millwall. Then a bonkers game at the City Ground where Forest and Stoke draw by 2 goals each. It was 2 teams thinking, this is it, all or nothing. We've got to win this game, otherwise we are really going to be handed a blow to get into the top 6. And it really was back and forth. It was such a close game. Both teams hit the woodwork, and I think Stoke even hit the woodwork twice in their end. So it was very, very close, and it even could have had more goals than the 2 that both of these teams scored. I think who scored the first goal was Brennan Johnson. It was a good bit of build-up, actually, from Nottingham Forest to create that goal. Josh Marger getting the equaliser, his first goal for Stoke City. Once again, I've been very impressed about Stoke's transfer strategy, which I think has definitely, benefited them. Now, the big talking point again, controversy yet again, a red card for Nottingham Forest, and it is on Brice Samba. And I saw the incident in full. Basically, Stephen Fletcher kind of barges into him, just to kind of making sure that the striker's there. And then he just simply loses his head. That's all I can explain. Pushes his head, very light, I would say. Definitely, I think Fletcher milks it a little bit. But if you're going to do that, you have every opportunity to get yourself sent off. And then Stephen Fletcher did cause Brice Samba to get sent off. And because Forest made all their subs, Joe Worrell, their defender, had to go in goal. And he had to face a penalty as well against Lewis Baker, where he didn't save it, unfortunately, which made it 2-1 to Stoke. But then absolute scenes when James Garner had a free kick late on which hit the bar, and then the rebound found its way towards Ryan Yates to head in the goal to make it 2-2. It was such an incredible game. Really gripping your seat moment, this. Now, if they find themselves 7th and 13th place respectively, I think Stoke, unfortunately, are going to have to rely on a miracle to get into those top 6 places now. But Forest have got every chance still, although they have played games more than everyone else. They just got to hope that teams around them still continue to drop points, because I think Forest definitely are a team who can definitely get up there. Peterborough still find themselves in danger. They lose 1-0 to Preston. Now, I think Darren Ferguson said after the game that he wants more fight from his Peterborough side. I mean, what I will say, I think what he means is more players need to give more fight, because I don't think the whole squad didn't actually fight. If you look at it, 16 shots to Preston's 7. Peterborough asked a lot more questions than what Preston did, and actually were quite unlucky. I think they hit the woodwork from a Joe Ward free kick as well, so they were quite unlucky not to get a goal, and Iverson made some great saves. And actually, what I will say, Joe Ward is the one exceptional player that actually fought and ran everything that he could. I think Clark Harris was poor. I think a lot of their attacking players, Brown was poor as well, who's supposed to be stepping into Dembele's shoes, of course. Their attacking players in general have been poor, and they've had to rely on their midfielder in a way, Joe Ward, to try and create the chances. He by far was the closest to getting past Iverson, and I think more of the squad need to look up to him and see what he's doing and to actually follow his lead. Preston, I don't think were too spectacular in this game, but they managed to hold on to this game. They defended quite well, and I've got to say, Cameron Archer, with the amount of goals he's scoring for Preston, he's intention to being the best January signing of this transfer window. He pops by with another goal past Steve Bennett to make it 1-0 to Preston. In the end, I think a little bit snatch and grab, but it's an important win regardless for Preston. As with Peterborough, a bit of a devastating blow, and they definitely need to have more fearlessness going forward and to be more clinical. Another bonkers game, this time in Reading Stadium, where they lose 3-2 to Coventry. One thing we've learned about both sides, neither team can defend, especially corners. So the first goal came from Lucas João. The centre-back pairing to try and mark Lucas João was atrocious. They gave him way too much room to make it 1-0 to Reading. But Dominic Haya managed to get an equalising goal. I thought it was Hamer originally scored, but actually it came from a bit of a deflection, and it came off Hyam to make it 1-1. It's a bit of a blow for Coventry that Hamer I don't think is going to be available for their midweek game, so that will be a bit of an interesting situation that Coventry find themselves. Then they find Michael Rose taking the lead for Coventry. Corner comes in, free header, 2-1. But then equaliser almost within a couple of minutes later. Corner comes in, Yeardham, free header 2-2. So both teams at the back have really, need to work on something. For the third goal for Coventry's sake, that came from Ian Maatsen. Definitely the best looking goal in the game. It was a beautiful dink above the goalkeeper to make it 3-2. And I think Ian Maatsen was up there in their top 2 best players, because he was creating chances, and not only that, he scored goals too. So I think Maatsen did really, really well for Coventry in this game. Reading were down to 10 men as well. Hoylett managed to get sent off as well, so a bit of a blow for Reading's part that they're not going to have him available, because I thought he was quite important when he was featured in this game. Coventry, they'll take this win, but I wouldn't say they were spectacular. They definitely need to work on their defence. With Reading, things are just not going their way at the moment. For the fact that Barnsley have won, it's a good reminder that a lot of teams are breathing down Reading's neck. They've really got to try and move on and get a win as soon as they can. Final game to go over is Swansea, Bristol City, and it's the home side that picks up the crucial 3 points with a 3-1 win. I've got to say, I was very disappointed with Bristol City. When they got their goal, which was actually, a really, really good pass, I think, by Scott to find Weimann, and it shows Swansea's vulnerability of playing at such a high line. Weimann played onside and he scored a very easy goal in the end. But after that, it was all Swansea. I've got to say, 71% of the ball came to Swansea's way. And actually, when you looked at their chances as well, 16 shots to 10, 6 shots on target to 3. So Swansea definitely looked much better going forward. They had more composure going forward. And definitely 2 of the goals, their first 2 goals at least for Swansea, Obafemi and Christie's goal, both came from the defenders being just too static and not tracking their runs. Obafemi scores by just beating his defender to make it 1-1. Then Cyrus Christie, a bit of a fortunate goal how it got to that, but once again, just really lackluster defending again. I think Nitschen wanted the goal, but then it deflected off Christie to make it 2-1. And then Joe Pirro managing to nutmeg a defender and just sets himself free, 3-1. And it's just as easy as that. I think Bristol City, when they try and defend, they don't have a clear approach in trying to break out of it. It's very much hoof the ball away, and I think a lot of people find it, it drives them mad when you see teams just don't even bother to try and create something from a bad situation and just simply get rid of it, and that's what I think Bristol City have been. They just don't have composure at the back, and they've got to really address that, especially if they want to progress as a club in general. But Swansea is a good win for them, and if they can continue their good home form, which I think they've won 2 home games in a row, they can definitely have a good end to the season. So that is all the games that we've gone through. Of course, West Brom have got to play Blackburn tonight, so unfortunately I cannot talk about them, but this is what the championship table is looking like. Fulham and Bournemouth are in the top 2, with Blackburn, QPR, Huddersfield and Middlesbrough in the top 6. And then with the teams just, fighting to stay up, you've got Reading and still Peterborough, Derby and Barnsley. But Barnsley definitely pushing a little bit closer to try and get them saved from survival. So for the final part of this video, guys, I'm going to start predicting the midweek games. So the first game to predict on Tuesday, we've got Sheffield United versus Hull. Sheffield United really enjoyed playing against Hull last time. I have a feeling Sheffield United will be a bit comfortable. I'm going to say a 2-0 victory to Sheffield United. Cardiff and Coventry, I think, is interesting. Coventry are going to have players missing. I think Cardiff will have some players missing too. Oh, it's tough because Cardiff at home have really improved, actually. And Coventry are still not really heavily back them away from home. Coventry could easily get a result, but I'm actually going to back Cardiff. I'm going to back them for perhaps a shock 2-1 win. Millwall and QPR, I'm going to say a 1-1 draw. I think that for me, that both of the teams have got capabilities to win. Millwall have got a really strong home record. QPR have been naturally strong all season, so I think naturally, by that case, they'll cancel each other out. And finally, Peterborough and Reading, I think goals will take place in this game. Reading just conceding bucket loads. Peterborough would definitely not want to concede many goals, but at home, Peterborough have to look at this game thinking it's a must-win game. So as a prediction, I'm going to go for a 3-2 victory to Peterborough to spice things up in the bottom three. I mean, Peterborough, look at this. If they beat Reading, they overtake them, and Peterborough are no longer in the bottom three. It's a must-win game for both teams. But that will wrap it up for my review video today. If you guys enjoyed it, please give the video a like and just try and help the channel. Please do hit the subscribe button if you've not done so. It does really help the channel. And please share this channel to as many people as you can. All of that really helps the growth of this channel. But now, wrap it up. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary for joining this video. And as always, I'll see you guys very, very soon. Take care, everyone.